Hello, I'm Dr. Webb with Colorado Tech University. I'll be presenting to you today a demonstration on the installation and use of Tableau software. First of all, to get started, to install the software for students, there's an academic program in which you can download and install Tableau for free, Tableau Desktop, which is the one that normally you'd have to pay for. And you can get it for free here, but you'd have to provide when you go through the installation process. You fill in the standard information such as your name, telephone number. You'll get to one section where they'll ask what school you're with. Drop down menu. You'll go through that and you'll select Colorado Tech University. And then, as far as for verification, it's going to ask you for some type of documented proof. You'd provide either your course schedule, a copy of your student ID, or some other type of documentation from the school to prove that you're actually a student. Now, for this demo, rather than going through the academic program, we're going to use the regular the 14-day trial period application of the Tableau desktop. And to go to that one, you just click this link over here that says Try Now. When you go through there, you'll then select where it says Tableau Desktop. All three of these have a 14-day trial period, either Tableau Desktop, Server, or Online. We're going to get started with the Tableau Desktop. Because I already have it installed on mine, it's not going to be able to. We're not going to be able to see everything that's going to happen, but I can kind of walk you through it. First, it has a very lengthy download. After it downloads that file, then you'll press Run, and then you'll for as far as view license agreement, as you see here on the second step, and then finally it'll come up as far as a Start the Trial Now, and all you'll do is you'll select Start Trial Now. If you're not ready to actually install the application, you just want to download it, then click Start Trial Later, because what it will do, it'll drop a cookie on your system to let it know exactly when you started your trial period, and in exactly 14 days it'll stop. Okay, so when you do there's other ways of getting your when you do the academic, if you start off with the trial version and you want to switch over and get the free academic version, it's not a problem, because what will happen is every time you bring the Tableau up, it'll prompt you if you want to activate the product. When you go through the academic program and download and provide your credentials, such as that course schedule or student ID, they'll also ask you for your email address. Use your school email address. What they will do is they will then send you an activation code. You will then you'll be prompted to click Activate the Product, and you use that activation code they gave you. Okay, so and then that was it. That's as far as installation. Very simple. Okay, let's now get started with the actual application. The next step, we now need to find our data source that we're going to be using for this demonstration. The source we're going to be using is located at data.seattle.gov. So we'll go there now. So it's data.seattle.gov. And once we get to this site, the data that we're going to be using for today will be the Seattle, no, we're going to use the 9/11. If you scroll down, we'll find that the most accessed data sets on data.seattle.gov, there's raw data on the Seattle Police Department 911 incident response data sets. This is the one that we're going to be using for today's demonstration. It's going to show us all the different incidences that have happened within Seattle in regards to their 911 center. So you'll click on raw data. And once the screen comes up with the raw data, we have different formats which we can use to download the data. The one we're going to be using let's see, will be export. But we're waiting for the screen to finish. Okay, we're gonna now export this data that you see on the screen. So you click on where it says export, and we're gonna download it as a CSV file. And it'll take a little while to download it. Okay, now once the file is downloaded, you can go to your screen, and let's open it up and look at the data. It's real important that we understand exactly what the data contains, so we'll know how to manipulate it. Again, this is a CSV file, which is a comma separated values type file. This is really a text file, but Excel can open it up. So we'll give it a few minutes for Excel. Again, it's a very large file. Now, I received an error when Excel tried to open up, but that's okay. It just said the file not loaded completely. It exceeded the limitations as far as how many lines of or rows that Excel can use, but that's okay. We'll still get at least a brief open view that we can kind of see what is exactly in this file. Do not try to save it in Excel. Again, some of the key things we're going to look at to make sure we kind of understand what's in here is, okay, there's an ID field. There's an event number. There's a general offense as far as the codes for that. Events clearance code. Okay, so that's the code that we're gonna use the event clearance code. The event clearance description. And as we can look in here, we can see what they're talking about, such as fight disturbances, pedestrian violations, those type things that'll match to the codes. Okay. Then let's see, the next event clearance is a subgroup. Okay, they establish subgroups for each one of these different offenses. Events clearance group. Okay, so they got them in groups. All the motor vehicle related type things are grouped together. Okay. All right. And then we have our, let's see, the date, the events clearance date, the date that it actually occurred. The 100 block location, the address. Okay. We've got that. The district or sector. Okay. The zone or the beat. And then the census tract. Okay. The longitude and latitude indicators as far as exactly where it occurred using longitude and latitude coordinates. The incident location. Okay. The initial type description. Okay, got that. Okay, I think we're pretty comfortable as far as what else we got here. Okay, so now that we have that, let's go ahead and we'll close out of the Excel. Don't save, do not save that file or it'll be corrupted. All right, now when we downloaded it, depends on where you saved it. I'll go to my downloads field, or my I saved it into the directory called C file, or no, under Colorado Tech. So, okay, we'll now I'll show you. This is where my file is located in Seattle Police Department 911 incident. Okay, at this time, let's go back to Tableau. Now that we've downloaded our field, our file, and we've also looked at the characteristics of that file. We're going to go ahead now and upload it. Again, this is a CSV file, which is really a text file. So you click on text file, and here it is, the Seattle Police Department 911. So I double click on that. And now to upload it into Tableau, all I have to do is say upload now or update now. It'll take a few minutes for that. Okay. And we can now see what the fields look like. We could have evaluated it here as well, you know, now that I think about it. And we could have gone through, get a good feel for exactly what the contents are for this. Okay. Now, next we go to sheet 1. Okay. Now you'll notice that once Tableau uploaded our data into the environment, there's in 2 sections. One section is which is dimensions, and another section are measures. In the dimensions section, you'll see it automatically by its annotated if whether or not it was going to be like a string type, if it was going to be of strings like ABC, if it was of a date type, it'll automatically put a little calendar next to it, you know, a date or time. The others are strings. And on the measures, it even indicates as far as like longitude and latitude, numerics are prefixed with the pound sign. Longitude and latitude, it noted that those were longitude and latitude lines. Again, these make it very easy for you to be able to manipulate your data. Now, another thing we can do when we have it in this type of format is if we needed to change a field type, you can change it just by going over to the field type, such as 100 block location. Suppose it, well, let's not use that one. Let's say, incident location. Let me use that one. Incident location. You'll notice it's a string type. What you could do is if you go over to the caret to the right-hand side, you can go down and you could convert or change the data type to another type if you wanted to. So if you did have a data type that you wanted to change, you can do it at this time. Okay, but we're not going to change anything here. The data types are just where I want them. Okay. Now, to begin, let's try to get a feel for where all the different 911 incidences are occurring. So first, we're going to double click on latitude and longitude. And you'll notice that you only see a single dot. Well, that's just an average of exactly where all the crimes are being, or all the 911 incidences are occurring within Seattle. Okay, what we really want this time is we want to try to get it to span out, not just within that the average of the longitude, latitude, but actually to show us where all the different incidences occurred. So we're going to get the actual incident location, and we'll drop that right here where it says details. Now, it wants to know, do we want to use all the members? Yes, add all members. Okay, the screen now just shows us that there's 911 events going on all over the city. But now what we want to do is we need to kind of isolate the different instances that are going on. So to do that, all we need to do is we'll come up to the event clearance group, so we can kind of group the different events, and we'll just put in the color. Add all members, and there we go. Now this produces a legend where we can kind of isolate all the different events that are going on, such as incident investigation. If we click that, it'll just highlight those. Now let's get something with a little more color to it. Or we'll say assaults. We just want to see only where all the assaults are happening. We can click on behavioral health issues, false alarms, disturbances, burglaries. So again, we could just walk through all the different types of incidences to kind of get a feel for what's going on where. Another feature, we can isolate based on zip code where some of these events are occurring. For instance, if I click on the search box, as far as search maps, I can put in the zip code, like we'll say 98103. That zip code within Seattle, and it kind of expands that out, and so I can see the exactly what's going on in that particular zip code area. Okay, let's get rid of that. And go back to where we were. Now, as we've concluded, this data set that we're looking at, it comprises of 911 calls that have happened over the last 4 years. Now, suppose we wanted to define a particular time period. We can narrow down our view by, let's see, first we'll go to the to identify the date of occurrence. So event clearance date, and we can left click on that, and then we'll convert to continuous, and then show quick filter. Okay, and we'll go with show quick filter. Okay, and you'll notice here's the our indicator up here, and we can use it to narrow down during the time periods in which we wanted to see. Okay, now the range currently that we're using comprised of from 2009 from June the 17th 2009 all the way until October the 10th 2015. That's our original date range. So again, we can narrow this down to just like what's happening just this year alone, just by sliding our indicator down to 2015 there, January the 4th 2015 to October the 10th 2015. And these are what our indicators look like of all the different things going on. Lots of animal complaints, traffic related calls. So you see, that's what makes this very ideal, is you can just hover over the different events and see exactly what they were and the actual location. Okay. Okay. At this time, we're going to rename this sheet, this data sheet, where it says sheet 1. We're going to rename that to map. So you just right click on your mouse and rename the sheet, and we'll just call this map. Press enter. Okay, this time we're going to go ahead and make our next data sheet, or our next sheet. So you go down here where it says for sheets, and this is sheet 2. And let's see, what do we want to do for sheet 2? Okay, for our next one, let's we're going to do a here's something a little different. We're going to select on our event clearance group, because I want to know the total number. I want to group these things by the different types of events that are going on 911. So first you'll select event clearance group, and then while you have that selected, hold down the control key and go down to number of records, and it'll put both of those together. And let's see if there's anything else we want to add. Okay, let's see. Now that'll be enough right now. Now go over to the Show Me panel, and you'll see these are all the different things that are the ones that are highlighted are the different ones that are pretty much useful for these types of events that you've selected. Right now, we're just going to go with a bar chart, and this way it'll kind of show us all the different events that are going on with, how many of occurrences there were. Okay, this is a little boring, because everything is all of the same color. Let's color code the same way we did with that map. So the first you're going to do is the event clearance group. I'm going to take that and drop it into color. Therefore, it'll assign the various colors that also coordinate with the way we did with the map. Okay, let's do a few cosmetic changes here. A little housekeeping. First, let me get rid of this, the Show Me window. Next, as you notice, the bars as they're coming down, everything's just by alphabetical order. Rather than being an alphabetical listing, how about we put it in order based on size? So we can sort just by selecting the sort event clearance group descending by numbers and rows by selecting this icon, and now they'll be in order based on size, and that way we can see which are the most common occurring events. And also, how about let's just, instead of normal, let's have this fit the entire view. We'll clean it up a little bit. Okay, that's going to about finish it for this particular chart. Let's go ahead and rename this one. So you go down to where it says Sheet 2, right click, and say Rename Sheet, and we'll call this one Bar Chart. Okay. Okay. Now I'd like to do at least one more data sheet here. Let's go ahead and open up for one more sheet. Okay, let's do our next evaluation over time. So the first thing we'll do is let's use the event clearance date. Just double click it, and we're going to put it over the number of records. So you double click that. And again, you see we get this somewhat awkward line here, but it's going to make more sense here in just a few minutes. Okay, the first thing I want to change on this is rather than over year, let's see what monthly occurrences are looking like. So you just down click on the caret here, and you go to month, vice year. Okay, this is making a little more sense. Okay, now the next thing I want to add is, let's put the events clearance group, add color to that, add all members, yes. Now this is making more sense as far as for us to kind of see over time what's happening in each one of these different, each of the different instances. Okay, and so now as we're looking over the months, we can see that with different things that are going on with where they're peaking. In October, January, the number of traffic-related calls is the highest. That's during the winter, which is making sense. And again, there's lots of interpretations we can do as far as disturbances. Let's see, when is the highest peak of disturbances occurring? In July. That's around 4th of July. See it? Who knows? Okay, and they're the least. It's coming down. The disturbances in the end of July. Okay. All right. So yeah, that's making sense. Okay, let's go ahead and we're going to name this chart timeline. So all you do is we'll click on the sheet, right click, and we'll rename the sheet timeline. Okay. Okay. We now have three data sheets, and it's now time to kind of put these together into a dashboard. And if you look down at the bottom of the screen, this icon is for the dashboard. It looks like a quad chart. So you click on that, and there's your dashboard. Okay, it is here where the story is going to be really told, where we're going to interact between the map, the bar chart, and the timelines sheets. First, let's set our dashboard up to automatic. Therefore, it'll automatically size based on the device that you're looking at, that we're reading on this. Now, we're going to be using the three sheets that we've created. One, the maps, the bar chart, and the timeline. You'll also notice that we have lots of flexibility as far as how we're going to place those horizontally, vertically, add text, add images, web pages. We can either make them tiled or floating. And so we're going to start off by first, let's drag our map into the dashboard. Okay, you'll notice the map comes in, and we have our event clearance group. All right, next let's bring in our bar chart. We'll place it to the right. And next, the timeline. Let's put it here. Okay. Okay, let's do a little bit of housekeeping here. As far as the timeline, let's go ahead and bring it down a little bit so that we could get that bar chart. And then for the bar chart, we could click and we could go to fit and tell it to fit the entire view. Therefore, it's within our window. Let's take the timeline down a little bit more to give enough space for that bar chart. Okay, that's good. Okay, let's also change the map a little bit. Bring it over. And our legend here, we can click on the legend, and we can make that into a floating type object. That way it just kind of floats on top of the screen. And we'll drag it across here. And let's move it in a little bit. There. Maybe it'll look better on the other side. You know what? Let's put it back. But anyways, that's how you move it around. Okay. The next thing is let's move this, our quick filter that we have here. And I wanted to expand that. Oh, let's see. Okay, let's move these. I'm gonna try it again to move our quick filter. There we go. That looks much better. Okay. Now, you'll notice that currently right now with this quick filter, the only thing it changes is just that map that we created. What we can do is we can change that so whereas the quick filter will affect all three charts. Now, to have that quick filter to affect all three charts, all we need to do is we go up here and apply to worksheets and tell the all using this data source. Okay. Now you'll notice that as we move the slider, all three charts are being updated to give us a much clearer view of a specific date and time that we're analyzing. Okay, the next thing I'd like to do is, if you notice, in each one of our data sheets, it has that title up there. We can get rid of those titles very easily just by selecting that data sheet, down arrow, and unselect where it says title. It gives us just a little bit more room. There we go. Okay, now you notice, if you recall, when we were setting up our filters before, we no longer have that functionality over here on the side. We have something that's a lot more powerful. We can use one of these, such as in this instance, we're going to use this the event list as our filter for all the sheets. So to do that, all you do is we're going to select filter. Let's see. Use as filter. And therefore, now this data sheet was what we're going to use as our filter to manipulate the other data sheets. For instance, suppose I just want to look at shoplifting. I can just click on shoplifting from here. And the other data sheets will also show you the occurrences of shoplifting during this set period of time. Again, we still have that functionality as far as adjusting our date ranges. Now, to turn off the filter, all we have to do is we'll click on the one that was shoplifting before, click on that, and it'll reset everything back to the way it was. Okay, now let's go ahead and rename that dashboard just to give it a much better name. So rename that. And we're going to call this, let's call it Seattle 911. There. We're almost finished. A few more little cosmetic things I'd like to do on my sheets are, one, let's give it a title to this data sheet. And so all we have to do is we'll just go to text. A text box opens up, and we'll call this Seattle 911 incidents. I think that's how you spell incidents. All right. Also, what we can do, let's see here. The next thing I will do is just format this a little bit. I like using Times New Roman. Let's make it about a size 24. And that's good. Now, I placed it over here. That's where my cursor was. Not a problem. Let's move it over to this side. Too big. Get smaller. There we go. Seattle 911 incidents. And that'll pretty much wrap it up for what we need to do today. Okay, and I see that we've somehow have accidentally extended beyond where I wanted to with my data here, because it's writing on top of the other my events. Okay. unclick that. That. Okay, there's nothing more than I'd need to play with it in order to get the events that are writing over there. To get this one, maybe I should put it over here then. Get it out of the way there. Gets it out of the way, and we can have more room so that could float there. Okay. Okay. That now concludes what we're going to do today as far as the installation and demonstration of use of Tableau. Again, it's a very simplistic demo that we've done today. If you want to see some more elaborate dashboards, go to the gallery that was mentioned earlier in the briefing, and you'll see the real strength and power of what you can do with Tableau. So, without any further ado, I'll just go ahead and file. I'll save this one, and we're going to call this one final copy of Tableau. Demo. And it is now saved. Okay, again, this is Dr. Webb, and thank you for joining me.